right? Jesus' words. So this is what we're studying. 送这个 microphone 可能要汪汪汪 it's ringing if I move. Okay, thank you. So the book focuses only, it's focusing only on the words of Jesus. But I felt as I looked at the book and I studied the book, I felt like we need to know more than just that. What Jesus said. We need to know, how can I change? How can I control the anger that I have in my life? Now, most of the time, when we think about anger, we think about people like this, right? When you see like this dude, you're like, he's angry, right? And he's mean. So usually when we think of anger, we think of it as an explosion. Like people get angry and so they just act out. They get loud, they get abusive, maybe even hit. A lot of times with anger, that's what we think of. But anger is a lot more than that. We can do other things besides just act out when we're angry. Angry can cause many other problems in our life, right? If we bury it, we can get sick. Anger can cause sickness. We don't act out, but we leave it in our heart and it affects our bodies. It affects our minds. Or what else can we do? Sometimes with anger, we may not act out, but we at the moment when we're angry, but we're always thinking about, I'm going to get back at that person. Somehow I'm going to make them pay for what they did to me. Give and take, that's right, give and take. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, right? So I think anger is very important for us as Christians because it's one thing, it's one emotion that the world will look at a Christian and say, you shouldn't be angry, right? A lot of people in the world, they look at Christians and one of the first things they will criticize, 被批评一个基督徒是 you're a Christian, why are you angry? Right? Why are you loud? Why you shout? Why you do this? So I think it's important for us as believers to understand the truth about anger and also to understand, how do I, when I'm angry, how do I respond? How do I control my anger? What should I do? So today we're going to talk about a little bit about that. But we're going to start with the book. So if you have your book, we're on lesson 4 in your book, lesson 4, page 19. So today we want to start with that. And then if we have time, we will move to our other notes. If we don't have time, we will continue next week with the same lesson. So I'm not in a hurry. I'm not trying to go fast. I want us to cover this well. Okay, so Sarah, do you mind grabbing the microphone, please? I think it's right there in front of them. Thank you. And we're going to start on page 19 where it says anger, introduction.
Jesus' teaching are based on the law of Moses, including the Ten Commandments, which are found in the Old Testament. For many of his followers at the time, these passages would have been very ignorant. And he
demonstrates
a greater understanding of these laws by emphasizing that the motive behind our actions is very important. What kinds of things make you angry? Something in the world like injustice should make us angry. But what about disputes between friends and family members? How do you respond to relationship problems in your life? And what do you normally do when you are angry with someone?
Okay, all right. So let's look at this. Jesus is teaching when, especially we're reading today, we're going to be reading in Matthew. Now remember, it's we've been in Matthew for a long time. What do we know about the book of Matthew? We know that it was written for the Jews, right? So when Matthew wrote this book, the gospel, when he wrote this gospel, he wrote it with the Jewish people in mind. So he was very, he paid a lot of attention to the Old Testament. He paid a lot of attention to the kingdom, the things that the Jews would understand. So he put a lot of what Jesus said about the Old Testament in the Gospel of Matthew, so that they would understand that Jesus not only knew the Old Testament, he was fulfilling the Old Testament. So Jesus's teachings are based on, when something is based on something, what does that mean? Another word for based on is if something is based on something, what do you do? What is it? What does that mean? Jesus' teaching is based on the easiest to somebody's. Yeah? Lily, I see your mouth moving, you're right. Okay. Yeah, a basis is like, yeah, like a foundation, right? Like something you build on, right? It's whatever you build on top of. So it's based on. So for Jesus, when he taught, he based his teaching on the law of Moses. Who gave Moses the law? Where did the law come from? From God, that's right. God spoke to Moses, and Moses wrote down the law, including the 10 Commandments. That's right, the 10 Commandments. So Jesus did not come to destroy the law. That's what he said. I didn't come to destroy the law. I came to fulfill the law. In other words, I am the fulfillment of the law. So it's found, the law of Moses is written where? The 10 Commandments, we find it where? If I want to open my Bible, where are the 10 Commandments? Huh? Where's the law of Moses written? And the 10 Commandments? Is it Old Testament or New Testament? Old Testament, that's right. Because the New Testament is where Jesus comes. So the law is in the Old Testament. So for many of the followers of Jesus, the ones who follow Jesus at this time, meaning at the time when Jesus is here on the earth and he's walking, and even the time after he leaves the earth, it goes back to heaven, those followers, many of them were Jews. So therefore, they would know what Jesus is talking about. They know the 10 Commandments. They know the law of Moses. So Jesus used something they know to speak to them about something that they needed to change or do in their life. But Jesus, when it says but he, we're talking about Jesus, right? But Jesus demonstrates. Now, if I demonstrate something, what am I doing? If I give you a demonstration, what does that mean? What is a demonstration? Yeah, to show you something, to show you how something works or how you can do something. Or a shorter word is a demo, right? A demo. So for example, you just ran out of battery. Okay. Hello? Well, now it's on. Well, I don't know how long it will last, though. I don't know how long it will last. Okay. Switch. Okay, so a demo, if I give you a demo, that means that it is an example, a sample a sample of something. Allows you to see something. Maybe I want to sell you something. So I will give you a demonstration of how it works. You know, I went to B&Q recently. You know B&Q, right? Anybody ever been to B&Q? Do y'all go to B&Q? Anybody else go to B&Q? B&Q is a store that sells tools. Yeah, yeah. 桃园有吗? I go to 内湖. I go to 内湖那边. Yeah, B&Q is close to Costco. So I went to B&Q and wanted to buy some lights. Because my lights in my apartment are over 30 years old. They were there when I moved in the apartment, and now they don't work very well. You know, they work when they want to, when they don't want to, it's just bad. So I went there and they gave me a demonstration on how to use the lights. I was so surprised at the new lights because I haven't had new lights before, and these lights are so cool. I mean, these lights, they are very bright, but very light. And you know, the setting is it's very light, you know, but it's very bright. And like you can put it's round and you put it on your ceiling and you can change the bright, dark, very, very bright, very dark, turn off one, yellow, white. 都可以改变. It is amazing. And with one push of the button off and one push of the button bright and light. It's just amazing. So they gave me a demonstration, you know, of all the lights, how it all works. That's what a demonstration is, or a demo, because they want to sell you the lights. So they want to show you how it works. All new lights, amazing, all LED, all, but the one thing I don't like is they said, there's no light bulbs. There's no light bulbs, right? So I said, well, if it stops working, what do? You have to buy the whole thing again. 全部都要买. Not just eat a light, you have to buy the whole thing. It's unbelievable. But what they can do now is unbelievable. But it's a demonstration. So Jesus, he is demonstrating, he's showing them a greater understanding. So he's not only is he telling them, he wants to paint them a picture. Paint them a picture. Now, we can paint a picture with a paintbrush, right? We can paint a picture with a paintbrush, or we can paint a picture with our words, right? We can use our words to paint a picture, or we can use a paintbrush to paint a picture. Jesus liked to use his words to paint a picture so people could understand. So he spoke in parables, stories. Jesus told stories so that people would understand. They would have a greater understanding of what God meant when he said these things. So he demonstrates a greater understanding of these laws, Jesus does, greater than what the teachers did or understood. This week, the young people we are studying the book of Matthew right now, so I'm very familiar with these. And we were reading in Matthew chapter 15 yesterday. And Matthew chapter 15 talks about the Pharisees coming to Jesus, and they are trying to get the disciples in trouble. The disciples did not wash their hands before they ate, which for the Jews, it was not only something you should do to stay alive, it's something you should do as it's a ritual. It's like a form of holiness. And so they were trying to say things to Jesus like this to get the disciples in trouble. But Jesus turned around and said to them, why is this important to you? Why do you feel this is important? When you don't even keep the law that God spoke, You don't care about the things that are important, and you care about the things that are not important. That's what Jesus was saying to them. You care about you don't care about what's really important, but you care about what's not important. And here he's trying to teach them what God really thinks, how God really feels, if they will just listen. So he's emphasizing. What is Jesus emphasizing? Emphasizing means what? To put more emphasis on, which means to put greater importance on something, right? You can tell when someone is speaking if they're emphasizing something because they say it again and again, and because they're very clear when they say it. Jesus was this way. He emphasized certain things, and he was emphasizing what to the Pharisees? What was Jesus emphasizing? Here, the author says he was emphasizing that the motive, everybody say motive. What is your motive? We talk about motive in this class a lot because Jesus talks about it a lot. Your motive is more important than what you do. What is your motive? What is motive? Your motive is why you do it. Right? Why do you do what you do? Right? That's your motive. And we have to be careful that our motives are pure, that our motives are right, that we do things for God and not for man, number one. And number two, that we do things out of a pure heart, not to receive glory for ourselves, right? Motive is why you do what you do. Why? Why? Why is your motive? Why you do it? Not what you do. Remember, we've learned in this class so many times, God cares more about why we do what we do than what we do. Hello? On that day, when we stand before Jesus, all our works will be judged, right? Everything we do, he will judge. Even the good works, he will judge. What they're good. I mean, I came to church every Sunday. I came to class every week. These are good. But Jesus will judge them as to why. Why? Your motive. God judges our motive more than what we do. Jesus says, if your motive, why you do it, is not right, then all your works will burn up. You will have no reward for what you do. That's why motive is important. So we have to judge our own hearts, what our motive is, because nobody can know your heart. I cannot know your heart. You cannot know my heart. Only God can judge our hearts, right? So our motive is important. So Jesus is emphasizing, 他在强调 the motive behind what you do. Not what you're doing, but the motive behind our actions, which is what we do. Our actions is what we do, is very important. Extremely important. So we have to judge our own hearts, allow God to judge our hearts by the Holy Spirit. And we have to be careful not to judge others. There's no way we can know what's in somebody else's heart. God help us. Okay, now before we continue on in this paragraph, let's go to page, everybody turn to page, page 25. And on page 25, you will notice if there's some words that are underlined in this chapter and you don't know the meaning of that word, if it's underlined, if it has an underline, right? If it has an underline, then you can go to this page. You can go to page 25 and it will tell you the meaning of that word, right? Now, let's go through these words first before we continue. The first word is injustice. Injustice. How many believe that we live in a just world? This world is just. J-U-S-T, just. What does just mean? What does the word just mean? Do we live in a just world? Or another way to say it, 另外一个说法是 let's say, do we have justice in the world?
Nobody's perfect.
Okay? No, nobody is perfect. That's right. That's true. And no one can do everything right. That's true. But what does it mean to be just or to have justice? What does it mean? Now, right now in America, this is all over the news. This is all people talk about in America. Because recently, President Biden pardoned his son. Right? Pardoned.
Yes, sir.
He pardoned his son. Now, he pardoned him because he was found guilty of committing crimes, right? He was found guilty of doing things he should not have done. Okay, not fair. It is the law. He broke the law. Yes, he did. He broke the law. So President Biden, when he came out to speak, he said that it was not a just prosecution. It was not a just prosecution. It was politically motivated. So now we're looking at two words we learned today, right? Motivation. Motive, your motive. So President Biden said, I pardoned my son because it was not a just prosecution. Prosecution is when they charge your son with a crime. They charge you with a crime. That's prosecuting you. They take you to court and say you committed a crime. That's a prosecution. He says the prosecution, it was politically motivated. The motivation behind it was political, meaning they didn't want Biden to win the election, so they went after his son. So now it brings up a very big question in America, which is our justice system, or does our justice system, your justice system is like your judges, your prosecutors, the people that are supposed to uphold the law, your justice system. Is our justice system in trouble? Is our justice system politically motivated? Meaning, are the judges and the district attorneys and all are they doing what they do to affect the outcome of an election? So Biden says, if he was not my son, you would not have prosecuted him. You would not have even charged him or taken him to court. Biden did not say he did not do anything wrong. He did not say that. Biden knows his son committed crimes. He knows he broke the law. He did. But what he's saying is, if he wasn't my son, you would not have taken the time and the energy to go after him. It's only because he's my son. Right, because his father's president. But President Trump says the same thing. Right? So President Trump says, because you don't like me, you go after me. It's politically motivated. Because you don't want me to be president, you go after me. You would not go after anybody else.
But
Mhm.
legal.
Yes, legal. The president of the United States has the power to pardon anybody and everybody. If he wanted to, the president in the United States could pardon everyone in all the United States and let everybody out. No, he cannot pardon himself.
But when you kill someone, you can pardon?
Yes,
Yeah, he said.
he has all power to pardon. Yes, he can pardon a murderer. He can pardon anyone. And he can let everybody out of prison if he wants to. He could go up to the microphone and say, I pardon everybody that's ever done anything wrong in the prison, set them free. He can do that.
It's unfair.
Oh, it's not just. Or it's not justice. We just got back to the word we want to study, justice. Justice is being fair. That's what justice is. So that's why last night Linda asked me, because she saw the lady that stands in the court with the scales, right? She holds the scales, the balance, make a scales, and she's blindfolded in our court in America. So you have a lady, a statue of a lady, she holds scales and she has a blindfold, she can't see. So Linda says, why is she blind? And I said, because justice is blind. Right? Justice is blind. That means I don't see who you are. I see only what you've done. I don't judge you based on who you are. I judge you by what you've done. That's what justice really is. So this world, many times, is not just. It's not just. It's not fair. Like Danny says, it's not fair. Not fair for someone with money and power to go free, and people who have no money, no power, no famous father, they are still in jail. That's not just, right? Not just. We have to agree, this world cannot be 100% just. It cannot be. It cannot be. So justice is something we all say we want, right? 我们都说 we want justice. 除了是我的儿子 right? Unless it's my family. If it's my family, I want mercy. Right? Yes. That's the difference. Justice or mercy. So it depends on who it is, right?
Someone just said the law is protect the rich man.
That's why we say it's not just. It's not just. You have money, you go free. No money, you're in jail. That's not just, right? So that's why people said, well, if he wants to pardon people, he should pardon everyone that did the same thing his son did. Everyone. That's what they said. But that'd be a lot of people. But yeah, that's right. Well, even now today, they say, oh, you should pardon President Trump. So people are saying to Biden, you should pardon President Trump, but he can't pardon President Trump. Because President Trump was charged in a state court, not federal. President Biden can only pardon federal crimes. Federal, not state. So honestly, what I said before was not really true in that he can only set the people free who were found guilty in federal court, not state court. If you're found guilty in your state, Nita Joe, Danega Court, President Biden cannot help you. Only the governor of the state can pardon you. The governor can pardon you. So like President Trump, he was found guilty in the state of New York, not a federal crime, a state crime. So the governor of New York would have to pardon President Trump, not the president of the United States. So he couldn't do it. But the thing that people says is really not fair, Danny, is that President Biden pardoned him for anything he's ever done from 2014 till now. Shock. So he can't be charged for anything from 2014 till now. Even though he hasn't been charged for other things, his father pardoned him. And now he's talking about pardoning other people for crimes they haven't even been charged with. Because President Biden knows that when President Trump comes in, he will go after those people that broke the law and that went after him. It's ridiculous. So it's not just. No justice, right? So if there's no justice, we call it what? Male justice, we say injustice. So now we're back to our word, injustice. So in this world, there is injustice, right? In the world. And well, you can say unjust, but you won't say injustice. You will say injustice and unjust. That's right, unjust or injustice. Unjust, unjust or injustice. That's right. I lost my pen. Okay. You can say unjust or injustice. That is unjust. That was an unjust decision. Or this is injustice. So you can say either word. Okay. The second word, dispute. Now, if I dispute what you said, what am I doing? Arguing, yeah, probably, yeah, I am probably arguing, but probably not if I'm disagreeing, right? I dispute. That means I say something against what you said. I disagree, so I dispute it. Now we can dispute something with words, or we can dispute things with evidence, right? I dispute what you said. It's the same thing as saying, I disagree with what you said. Okay, I dispute it. Dispute, though, the main difference between disagree and dispute is that disagree can also be an opinion. Okay, you have your opinion, I have my opinion. So I disagree with what you said. okay? And of course, you have to say with here if you use disagree. I disagree with what you said. That means, you think that the chairs are comfortable. I disagree. I think the chairs are not comfortable, okay? Now, the difference between disagree and dispute is that dispute means I can prove or have evidence that what you said is wrong. I dispute it. So it's not just an opinion. Disputing something means I can show that you're wrong. Okay, I dispute. That's a big difference. So it's a higher level than disagree. We can disagree all day, right? And and you have your opinion, I have mine, that's no problem. But if I dispute what you said, I usually have proof or something to show for why I dispute it, okay? All right, moving on. Trial. So that's what we're just talking about. All these Trump went on trial, Hunter Biden went on trial. There are so many trials happening everywhere. Okay, but a trial can also be something that we go through as people. So a trial can be in a court, but a trial can also be a difficult situation that we go through. It can be either one. Okay, counsel. Now, counsel can have many meanings also. Okay, now here is the noun. You know, they have it as a noun. So counsel as a noun is usually a group of people that are meeting together. That's a council. Okay, they come together for meetings. Now, a counsel, it can be a verb, and to counsel somebody is to talk with them about what's going on in their life, give them advice about what to do. But this is the noun. Okay, altar. An altar is a place where you sacrifice, right? That is an altar. You make a sacrifice. So everyone understands altar. In Taiwan, there's lots of altars. Everywhere there's an altar. And of course, I find it very interesting that today, when I was growing up, there was always an altars in the church, always. Now that you don't even see an altar in the church. People kneel at the stairs. But an altar is a place where you dedicate, where you sacrifice. Okay. Lawsuit. Okay. So a lawsuit, everybody can understand that if someone sues you, I'll sue you. Yes, you hear this all the time. I will sue you. We have another case going on right now in New York City with a man who killed another man on the subway. And he's on trial right now to see if he did it on purpose or not. You know, but the family has sued that man, sued him, which means they have brought, you can use the word brought, or you can use the word filed. That's field, filed. Not field, filed, okay. Filed, brought a lawsuit, or you can say they filed a lawsuit. So you can use this in either way, brought a lawsuit or filed a lawsuit. So you can tell somebody, if you don't do this, I will sue you. Or I will file a lawsuit against you. Either way, you can say that. I will file a lawsuit against you. Or I will bring a lawsuit against you. You can use either verb. Okay. Courts. So we all know what it means to go to court, I'm sure. We have a court of law. You can say, I have to go to court. I have to go to court. Now that, or he is in court. You can say he is in court. Now, if the process is going on, and you are there, there's a judge, there's all that, then you can say, I am in court right now. I'm in court right now. If you Jaime Dal, you can say, I have to go to court. Okay? Or you can say, sometimes they refer to the judge. Sometimes they're talking about when they say the court, they mean the judge. So they'll say sometimes, so like they'll say the court is requesting you appear. Now that's really weird because you should say the judge, but sometimes they say the court. Okay? The court is not just a place, it is an actual activity. You can be a place, like this is a courtroom. The place where they meet together is called a courtroom, right? But court is what they're doing. They're in court, okay? If you're in court, you have to behave, you have to act nice. Okay, associate. Okay, associate is the person that works with you, that helps you, is your associate. Okay, remember, if you were online yesterday, we talked about the difference between a vice president and is it assistant? Well, we use the word assistant yesterday? I can't remember. But we're talking about the difference between vice and other things. So vice is different because if you have a vice president, it's different than an assistant. Or if you have I thought there was another word we used besides assistant. I can't remember. Y'all remember? Anybody? Yeah, because sometimes it means a totally different office. So an associate though, an associate in a law office can mean two different things. Yeah, partner is same level. If we're partners in a law office, that means woman should tone young the level. House attorney, lawyers to attorney, woman should the same level. But an associate is a level lower than an attorney. So an associate is a little bit lower, but it can also be someone that works with you. So you have to listen to the way that someone says the sentence. This is my associate. It could mean partner, like what Peter was saying. Sometimes when people use the word associate, they actually mean partner. So you have to listen to the conversation to figure it out. But normally an associate, you'll think of as somebody that helps you, not someone that is the same level. But in a law situation, it can be different. It's someone you associate with. That's why they're called your associate. You associate with that person. That means you spend time with that person. Assistant is totally, you're above them. An assistant has no authority. If you have an assistant, you are their boss. That's your assistant. Okay. Okay, so this word is not associate. Because you notice it has verb. It's a verb. So this is different than associate. This is associate. So you say it different. Spelled the same, said different. This is associate. 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 Yeah, social. So if you associate with someone, you're with them socially. Yeah, so you spend time with them. You have communication with them, you associate with them. Okay? Initiative, yes. If I take the initiative to do something, then I am doing it without someone telling me to. Yeah. I take, we say, use the word take, the verb take the initiative. You need to take the initiative when you are building a company. You cannot wait to be told because you're the president, you need to take the initiative. If you wait, the company will go under. Okay, and sometimes I tell people if they have a problem with someone, you need to take the initiative to fix the problem. Take the initiative. Okay? Any questions on that? Okay, temper. Anybody have a bad temper? Yeah. That means you easily get angry. Easily get angry to have a bad temper. Like what we showed this dude, he has a bad temper. Easily angry or quite quickly. Sometimes we refer to it as being fast or even as the level temper. You can have a good temper though. Temper is not always bad, but most of the time, if I say this person has a temper, then we will usually mean it's bad, not good. He's angry. Yeah. So we will also use the word temper when we talk about children. Children who go crazy because they're mad. You know, we say, he is having, you can say having, or you can say throwing a temper fit. He's having or throwing a temper fit. You can say either one of them. So you see children laying on the ground screaming and kicking and throwing their hands, and they are having a temper fit. It's a temper fit. So it's just like, ah. Do y'all ever see that when you're in the store or something and a child is just like going crazy and you look at the child like, what is wrong? And the parents just act like they don't see the child. You know, does that ever happen? The parent is like, I love it. I think it's funny. I think it's funny because I'm a foreigner and because I'm white and because I look different than everybody else. Sometimes the kids are very intimidated by me. So sometimes I just love when kids go crazy and they have a temper fit. I will just, sometimes I just look at the kid and he stops. Not because he's not mad anymore, but because he's like, yeah, a foreigner, you're a foreigner and you're looking at me and I'm looking at him like, what are you doing? And then and it just stops. Yeah, sometimes we all, if we don't grow up, we have temper fits. Everybody can have a temper fit, but normally it's children. Okay, resolve. Now, resolve can have many meanings. But here, this means to fix a problem, to come to a conclusion, to find the answer to a problem, is to have a resolve to the problem. We need to resolve this problem. We need to resolve this problem. If we do not resolve the problem, it will get worse, right? I need to resolve the problem. We need to resolve the problem.
Resolve, not mean.
No, especially when you don't agree. Yeah, and when you let your emotions get involved, when your emotions are involved, it's even harder. So that's why it's important for us to learn how to control our emotions, because if we don't, it's hard to resolve problems if we bring our emotions in. Okay. Conflict. There's a lot of conflict in the world. What does conflict mean? If I say, we are having conflict, yeah, we disagree, right? But it's not only disagreeing. Oh, we are, sorry. We are having, you can say having. We are having a conflict, or you can say we are in conflict. Now, the difference between we are having a conflict and we are in conflict is that this is more, this way of saying it means more like we're fighting. This is more like fighting, and this is more like fighting, and this is more like we disagree and we're trying to figure out what to do. We don't know what to do. If we do this, this will happen. We do that, this will happen. So even in ourselves, we can have conflict. The Bible says that. The Bible says that inside our own heart, inside our own mind, we can have conflict, right? I can be in conflict in my mind, right? So I can think, if I make this decision, then this is what will happen in here. If I make that decision, this is what will happen. I'm not sure which one to do. That is, I'm in conflict. In my mind, is in conflict. But if I'm having a conflict, it's probably with somebody else. And we're probably fighting. Maybe with our words, not with our fists, but with our words. We're having a conflict over something we disagree about. Now, lots of presidents and different leaders of countries like to use the word conflict today, because they don't want to use the other word. The other word is what?
War.
War, that's right. They don't want to use war, so they use the word conflict. So when you hear President Putin speak about Russia and Ukraine, he'll say, we're in a conflict. He will say, we're in a conflict. We are having a conflict. That's what he'll say. He won't say war. The rest of the world will say war. He will say conflict, because he wants to make it seem not that bad. Yeah, and that too. A conflict can be inside, inside a country. But to the rest of the world, it's a war, because it's two different countries. So it's not a conflict. You're right, Peter. So a lot of presidents are trying to make the point, like Putin believes they are belong to them.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah, they're brothers, so they say we're in a conflict. Same thing in Israel and all around the world. They like to say these things. Okay, let's go back to page 19. Okay, let's look at the first question on page 19, which is, what kinds of things make you angry? What kinds of things make you angry? I will start. I will answer the question. I will start with my answer. When you hurt someone I love, it makes me angry. Yeah, when you hurt someone I love, it makes me angry. Does everybody understand what I just said? Okay, because the question is, what kinds of things make you angry? And I say to you, if or when, doesn't matter, you can say if or when. If you hurt someone that I love, it makes me angry. Or I should say, I get angry. I wouldn't use the word makes because we do use the word makes, but we should stop using the word. If you hurt someone I love, I get angry. Okay? If you say something or do something that hurts my family, my friends, I get angry. You agree? Me too. Agree. I think everybody feels that way, right? It's okay. It's okay to get angry. It's okay to be angry because angry is an emotion that we feel. So the question is, what kinds of things make you angry? And this is probably the number one for me. If you hurt someone I love, I get angry. What about you guys? What kinds of things make you angry? You never get angry? Yeah.
I don't like it.
Oh, okay, so if someone uses bad language, that makes you angry. I don't like it either, especially if they use it at me. I agree, okay? Okay, when people are impolite, in what way, like they're rude or? Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to be impolite. You know, like to knock you over while they're trying to get, bump into you while you're trying to get through the door, yeah. What else? What can make you angry? What kinds of things make you angry? Sarah? What makes you angry? Yeah, when you see that somebody has a need, or you see somebody's in need of help and nobody wants to help, or nobody wants to do what's right. Yeah, can make. Okay. They don't take up for the person. Yeah, when you see somebody hurt somebody else and then nobody helps, nobody takes up for them, nobody says anything or does anything, yeah. Anybody else, Danny? Okay, if you can't, if you can't talk over someone. No? When? Uh-huh. Oh. Oh, okay. It makes you angry because you want to take up for that person. You want to speak on their behalf, yeah. When someone, yeah, interrupts or attacks somebody else or is well, like you said, impolite. When somebody talks over, we say talks over other people. Like if someone is talking and the other person wants to say something and they won't let them say anything and they keep talking, that's also talking over. The same thing. Oh, to put down.
Yeah.
Put down. We say put down, yeah. Okay, to put down other people. Yeah, I don't like that either. Another thing that makes me angry is when people lie. They're lying. Especially when I know they're lying. What else? What kinds of things make you angry? Yeah. Get along. Yeah. Yeah. So when people refuse to work together and solve the problem, and then it makes you angry, because it's like you're put in the middle. We say you're put in the middle because you have family and they're fighting, or friends and they're fighting, and you feel like you're in the middle, and you get angry because they're not willing to compromise or change or don't communicate. Yeah, no.
They're coming for me, I can change,
Yeah.
but they are.
Yeah, when they're stubborn, arrogant people, they won't listen to others' opinion. No.
Sometimes I angry myself.
Yeah, me too. Sometimes we get angry at ourselves for what we did or didn't do, or what we said or didn't say. Yeah, when people don't pay you back, they borrow money. Yeah, well, to me, it's like lying to me. It's the same thing, because you said you would, but you didn't. Yeah, I agree. What else? What kinds of things make you angry?
If somebody critiques me,
Mhm.
critiques my behavior,
Criticize your behavior.
but it's not true,
Yes,
I would get angry.
me too. Me too. That happened to me this week. I was angry. I admit, I got angry because I was criticized and people I love were criticized, and it's not true. So yeah, we all get angry because that's who we are. We're made with emotions, right? So especially if you go after people we love, I think it's easier to show grace to other people. It's hard to show grace to yourself, Dan, because even for me, it's easier for me to forgive others than to forgive myself. It's easier for me to get over my anger with others rather than to get over my anger with myself. But you have to learn to give yourself grace. Just like you offer grace to others, you have to offer yourself grace. Because like Peter said, nobody's perfect. We're all human beings trying to get through this world depending on Jesus and depending on the grace of God. So we have to learn. We have to learn. Okay, and that's what we're doing. That's why we're here. We're learning. Okay, so some things in the world, like injustice, we know what injustice is now, should make us angry. You agree? Yes.
Yeah.
Which should make it, injustice should make us angry. And like we see someone that's not treated justly, no matter what, in what case, it could be a poor man on the street, but people don't treat them kind or just. It could be anybody, but injustice should make us angry and should make us want to change things. We should have a just world. Okay, but what about disputes? That means arguments, disagreements between friends and family members. Do you think that's the hardest or the easiest to deal with? If your family disagrees, is that the hardest thing to deal with? Or is it harder than dealing with two coworkers that disagree? Or is it easier? What do you think? I might be different than most people. Because for me, I grew up in a Christian home. I grew up in a home that was very close. That doesn't mean we don't fight, but I feel like even if we disagree, we already know we love each other. And we know that we're gonna always be there for each other. So for me, it's easier to deal with the problems in the family than to deal with problems outside the family, like at work or in church or another thing. It's a lot harder. I'll tell you why. One time my nephew was doing things that he should not be doing, living in a way he shouldn't, and he was making his mother very upset. So I go to him, no joke, this is the truth. I go to him and he's about this much taller than me. Of course, I go to him and I walk up to him and I grab him by the shirt like this. And I look up at him and I said, you know what you're doing is wrong and you're hurting your mother and you better go make it right with your mother right now. And he's like, okay. Now for me, that's easy. Why? Because I have a relationship with him. He's my nephew. I will always be his aunt. We will always be family. So he can be mad at me. That's okay. We're always going to be family. But I would never do that to anybody here, right? I would never walk up to any of you. Danny, I definitely wouldn't do that to you. I would walk up to you and say, Danny, no, I would never do that. So that's what I mean by, I think for me personally, it's easier to deal with disputes in a family than to deal with them outside the family. You know what I mean? Because you're close, you grew up together. You know, oh, we fight, we get over it. We're okay. Okay. Anybody have anything they want to share or say before we go on? Okay, next. Yes.
But if you hurt someone,
Mhm.
it was the who I love. Or
Oh, you could say that. You can say that. If you hurt someone whom I love, you can use whom. You can use whom. Very good question. Yes.
Primary, sometimes always dispute.
Yeah, we can have disputes between families and friends, yeah. Or you can say disagreements. Yeah, you can have dispute. We did have dispute in our family after my father died. Yes, on how to divide everything. We did have disputes, not because my father was very fair in that he said, but he wasn't very specific. So, some families, they'll say, okay, this child they get this, they get the house, or they get the car, or they get these things. But in my family, it was, my dad was like, everybody the same. Divide, equal. So if that's the case, then you have to sell everything. Right, you have to sell it. That's the only way you can be equal unless someone wants to pay the value for the home or whatever. So we did have some disputes because one of my sisters wanted the car and wanted my father's car. And the other sister said, well, you have to, one sister said you have to pay for it. Another sister says, no, she doesn't, she can just keep it. And so the sister that said, no, you have to pay for it, wouldn't back down, and the other sister wouldn't back down either, so I'm like, dispute between the two. In the end, we had to do what was fair, what is right. 都一样. You can't separate.
You can take.
You can give and take, like if she
Yeah,
gets
right.
this, then you get that, but that's what we mean. In order to be fair, you have to know the value of the car and the value of other things, so everything is fair. And I have one sister that is very, very stubborn and strict about fairness. Fairness, everything has to be fair. And because she's that way, we all have to go that way. Because you cannot argue with justice. It's hard to argue with being fair. Because if you do what's right, maybe they're upset at that moment, but afterwards they're not upset because they know it was right. Do you know what I mean? But if you do what's wrong, someone 永远会生气. You have to do what's right, even if it's not popular. So, okay, going on. How do you respond to to relationship problems in your life? If you have a problem with someone, what do you normally do? Do you ignore them? Talk to them? Yell at them? What do you normally do? How do you respond to relationships, problems in your life? Do you work it out? Do you put it in your heart and keep it in your heart? How do you respond? Yeah, they don't give a specific, it's general. So it's gonna be different, right? It's gonna be different depending on the relationship, right? Who the person is. Because to be honest, for us, some relationships don't matter. 没关系, right? 没关系, 没关系就没关系了, right? So if you don't have any relationship, doesn't matter. But if you want a relationship with that person, you have to solve the problem. So what do you do? What do you normally do? Let's say, Danny, if it's a person that you want to keep the relationship, what do you do? Christine? Keep silent. Okay, so you're the retreat person. Keep silent, don't say anything. Keep silent. Does it work? If you keep silent, does everything work out? Oh, resolve the problem. Okay, let's resolve. Keep silent at first and then resolve the problem later. That's right. Okay. Okay. You can talk to them. Yeah, yes. That's true. Okay, what Sarah is saying is that you look at, see who the person is and what their personality is and how they usually respond to criticism, because that's true. Because some people you can be very honest and open with and you know it's okay. Other people, you know, if you're honest and open, they will get more angry. So you have to think, wait for them to cool down, everything become more stable and then talk to them. Yeah. People are different. So like Danny said, it depends on the relationship. It depends on if you want to keep that relationship. It depends on how important that person is to you. So what do you normally do when you are angry with someone? At that moment, that very moment, you get angry. What do you do?
No one talk.
Okay, you go silent. Danny goes silent.
Quiet, talk.
And boom, what is boom?
Oh, the-
Quiet and then get mad and then blow up.
Yeah.
Get quiet and then,
Yeah.
huh?
I was
Walk
quiet.
Walk away. What happened? Then your neighbor comes out when you slam the door. Then the neighbors come knocking on the door. What's going on? What's going on? Okay, so we have a walk away, we have a get silent, we have then I get mad and blow up and close the door. What do you normally do when you get angry? Try to keep cool. Yeah. I think it depends on the situation, like what you said. If I'm angry at a person and they're the only person in the room, then I will deal with the problem. At that point, I will try to deal with the problem in a calm way. But if there are other people there and I'm angry, I have to, like you said, calm down. Cool down. I don't want to say anything that will cause problems with other people. So I get angry and I wait. And I wait until the Lord says, okay, you can speak.
No, the two of you, you have maybe arguing, you have to still cool down.
You have to cool down. You have to cool down because if you speak in anger, you will always say something you don't mean. And you will hurt the other person. Yeah, you're right. You have to cool down. And they literally mean cool down because sometimes when I get angry, I can literally feel the temperature in my body change. I can feel it. My face gets hot. Hot. Very hot when I'm angry. Red color. You know,
If you are angry, your thinking is different.
very different. Yeah, you don't think clear. And you definitely don't speak the same way. Yeah.
In America, the redneck.
Redneck.
must be.
It means you're a farmer. You're a farmer or a rancher. Because you work outside. And when you work outside, you're bent over in the sun, it means you're a farmer or a rancher if you're a redneck. It means.
No, he said you are redneck.
Yeah, you sai taiyang, so you mean the neck is red.
But 他的意思是要说什么？you are redneck.
I mean, you're a farmer. You're a farmer, but no, because sometimes they look down, like what you say, when people look down on others or put others down. They use that to put people down, like we have different categories in America. You have like a white collar, blue collar, redneck. All these are different ways that people use to put people in a box and say, this is that person. But rednecks, if they say they're a redneck, it's usually a put down, saying that person是很笨的。笨，没有读书的人，没有读书的。Huh? In the United States, what? White collar are business people who work in an office. Blue collar are people who work in a factory. Factory workers.
But man said egg always bad here.
Men?
Before, yeah,
Uh-huh,
egg was bad.
yeah, I know, on here, you're gonna see that, because, and when we go to that one, it says the average man loses his temper 6 times a week. A man, the average woman loses her temper 3 times a week. Half of what a man does. Most of women can control their anger a little better than men can. But, okay, let's go on. We only have 15 minutes, so we'll get as far as we can, and then, next week we'll come back and continue. So selected reading, Exodus 20:13 says what? Everybody together. Do not commit murder. Well, that seems simple, doesn't it? That's one of the 10 commandments. Do not commit murder. It means do not kill. But murder and kill, the difference is what? Murder means you did it unjustly. You killed someone for no reason, is murder. You didn't have a good reason. That's murder. Okay, Exodus 21:12 says what? Whoever hits someone and kills him is to be put to death. Okay, so this is the law given to Moses. Now let's see what Jesus said, because do we have another microphone or we don't? Yes or no? We do? Does it work? Okay, go ahead. Okay. Matthew 5:21.
You have heard that people were told in the past, do not commit murder. Anyone who does will be brought to trial. But now I tell you, if you are angry with your brother, you will be brought to trial. If you call your brother you good for nothing, you will be brought before the council. And if you call your brother a worthless fool, you will be in danger of going to the fire of hell. So if you are about to offer your gift to God at the altar and then you remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. Go at once and make peace with your brother, and then come back and offer your gift to God. If someone bring a lawsuit against you and tells you to come court, settle the dispute while there is time before you get to court. Once you are there, you will be turned over to the judge, who will hand you over to the police, and you will be put in jail. There you will stay, I tell you, until you pay the last penny of your fine.
Okay. This is who's speaking? Who's speaking? Jesus. Jesus is speaking these words, okay? We're still on the mount. And Jesus is talking and giving teaching on the mount. So here on the mountain, as Jesus speaks, he says to all the people, you have heard, and that people were told in the past, do not commit murder. Anyone who does will be brought to trial. Now, he's talking about what? The Old Testament. He's talking about the 10 Commandments. He's talking about the law of Moses. He's speaking to people who know the law and understand it. So he's saying, but now I tell you. So Jesus is clarifying what the motive is behind the law. And what is it that he is identifying here? What is the emotion that Jesus is talking about that causes people to kill? What's the emotion that causes people to kill? Why do people kill? Because why do people murder other people? And many reasons, but anger. So Jesus is dealing with anger. Jesus is saying, don't just look at the act of murder. Jesus is saying, look at the emotion behind that act. So Jesus says, if you are angry with your brother, you will be brought to trial. Now, very interesting. Why is Jesus saying that? Does that mean Jesus is saying you cannot be angry with your brother? Is that what Jesus means? Is Jesus saying being angry is wrong? It's so quiet. Everybody's afraid of saying the wrong answer, getting the wrong answer, right? Jesus goes on. He doesn't just stop there. He continues. He said, if you call your brother you good for nothing, which a lot of people in America say that. You are good for nothing. That's why this version of the Bible, this version that they're used right here, is more of the modern English language. It's not the exact translation from the original. This is more for young people, people who normally live every day and hear normal American talk. So we will say you good for nothing. We will say that. I don't usually say that. I can't even remember ever saying it, but anyway, if you say to someone you good for nothing, that means that you're saying to that person you are worthless. That's what it means. You're good for nothing means you're worthless. Okay, so he says if you call your brother you good for nothing, you will be brought before the council. Now the council is the group of religious leaders that hear the cases. Okay, so that means if you say that, that person can bring you before the council. And if you call your brother a worthless fool, now actually, the word in the Greek, it means fool. It just means fool, but they added on here worthless fool, but it means fool. Raka is the word, which means fool. Now, fool, he says, you will be in danger of going to the fire of hell. Well, that sounds pretty bad, doesn't it? Why would Jesus say that? Does that mean everybody that calls someone a fool is going to hell? Is that what Jesus meant? Any thoughts on this? Uh-huh. And yeah, exactly. This is, you're right, Lillian, this is what Jesus is trying to emphasize. He's trying to emphasize that the emotions behind what we do cause us to do bad things, right? I think bad, therefore I feel bad, therefore I do bad. Right? So we have to control our emotions to control woman the Sheen way, our works, what we do. If we don't control our emotions, we can easily kill someone. So Jesus is trying to get through to the people. Start with the problem. The problem is anger, getting out of control. So it's a step, right? You get angry. And then you start calling names, like Danny says, Danny hates it when people curse and use bad language. But that's what, this is, in those days, this was like cursing and calling you names. That's what this was. So it starts out, I'm mad, so I start calling you names, and then the next thing you know, ends in a fight and somebody kills someone. So that's what Jesus is saying. Jesus is not saying, if you call somebody a worthless fool, you will go to hell. That's not what Jesus is saying. He said, you are in danger. Did you notice that? You are in danger of hell, going to hell. Why? Because it starts inside. It starts inside. So if I'm in danger, that doesn't mean that I'm going to die. It means I could die if I'm in danger. So you have to get out of that danger. You have to pull yourself out of that situation. So if you are about to offer your gift to God at the altar, that means you're going to pray. For us, we go to pray. Our gift is ourself, right? So we go to pray at the altar, and you remember, oh, my brother's mad at me. He's mad at me. Not I'm mad at him, he's mad at me. If that happens, Jesus said, this is what you do. Get up, stop praying, leave your gift, leave it in front of the altar, go at once. So if Jesus says go at once, it means immediately. At once means immediately. Go at once and make peace with your brother. Go resolve your problem. Make peace and then come back and offer your gift to God. God will wait. That's what Jesus is saying. The Father will wait for you to go resolve the problem, to fix the relationship. And then if someone brings a lawsuit against you and they take you to court, settle it. Jesus said, settle the dispute. Settle it. Settle means to work out a solution. Work out an answer to the problem. Settle with the person. Go to them and say, what can I do to make this right? So he's saying settle with them first before you get to court. Once you are there, because if you don't settle, you go to court, once you are there, you'll be turned over to the judge, who will hand you over to the police, and you will be put in jail. So Jesus is saying, deal with your problems early. Don't ignore them. Deal with your problems. There you will stay, meaning in jail. You will stay in jail, and I tell you, until you pay the last penny of your fine. So what Jesus is saying, his whole meaning is what? Deal with the motive behind the problem. Deal with why you are in that situation. Maybe you are in that situation because of something you did. If you are, go make peace. Go make peace. Okay. All right. We're already at 4:00, so can you believe it? I can't. It goes really fast. So next week we will continue on page 21, and we will answer these questions, and then we'll see how far we can get on the study that I gave you. Okay? So give you time over the next week to look over the notes that we have and highlight the things you don't understand, the words that you don't get, things like that. Okay. All right, anybody have a prayer request? Okay, let's pray. Father, I thank you again for allowing us to come together. And I thank you for these students whose heart is to learn more of your word and to know you in a greater way. They want to please you in everything they do. And I thank you, Lord, because when you came to this earth and you spoke to us, you wanted us to understand that what's in our heart is more important than what we do. So I pray, God, that you will help us all to allow the light of the Holy Spirit to shine on our lives. If there's any anger in our hearts, if there's any unforgiveness or bitterness, help us, Lord, to deal with that. Help us to resolve the problems with our brothers and sisters so that we can please you. Father, I thank you because you are good, because you are merciful, because you are a God of love and you are faithful. I pray your peace and your grace upon every student today. And we give you the praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, thanks for showing up today, guys. Appreciate you. Yeah, no problem.
那个明天有那个，今天晚上有音乐会，有那个入场券啊，有需要的吗？怎么了？怎么了？在3楼阴气。Christy， 可以找你先生来，好吧？给你2张票。谢谢。
如果说你要去国家医院听到，费用更高。
哎，他有在国家音乐厅表演的。虽然你在场应该不会。啊？明天晚上。对。那位需要吗？教授哎。教授哎。
教授，因为过
以前啊，
都挺好。
可能去一下。那些。太早了。没有。
有参加的啊，小孩那个
约打小孩。
不是，人家误会，他哦，上
结果他写
他每次都这样啊，他每次要煮的时候要看你要报道啊，
对啊，
他才会增加。
对啊，那我报了这个怕太多人。
新设备的，谁也是啊，
我们隔音会差吗？
对啊，
不是，我从来没听到。
管学业，管学业就是把那个碰撞。管学业很棒的。
对啊，就是要给你去看啊。
几点？
你先7点啊。
明天晚上7点。我现在知道哪叫车？
跟你老公去啊。
走路也不行哎，然后就叫我们传播去。然后我就说，那个，然后我说，你去那个，
哦，已经好了。